Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Fire Punch, Volume 4. Big thank you to anyone watching this, because I can't put this on YouTube anymore, so I had to redirect it. And I know redirects, they're annoying, they suck, so thank you for putting up with it. Secondarily, if you really like Fire Punch, but you don't know this already, Tatsuki Fujimoto is doing a new series in Weekly Shonen Jump. It's really not new at this point, called Chainsaw Man, and it is really good. I don't know, it has the same humor and crassness and art style as Fire Punch. It's a little toned down because it's Weekly Shonen Jump, but it's not as toned down as you would expect for a series running in Weekly Shonen Jump. It is very much it has the same feel of Fire Punch. And honestly, I might like it a bit more. It's been a while since I've read Fire Punch, but I reread Volume 3, and while I do enjoy it, I think Chainsaw Man is more fun, maybe? There's something to it. It feels a bit lighter, I guess. And I do like series that are a little bit lighter while still being edgy. So it hits a nice balance there. If you aren't reading Chainsaw Man, please check it out. I'm also doing reactions to it, but I'm not doing it in a compiled format. I'm just doing them once a week with Weekly Shonen Jump. So it might be a bit of a pain to go back and watch those reactions, but at the very least you can catch the new ones. And if you really, really want to see my reaction to a certain chapter, you can find it on the Full Thermite Kitty Experience. Anyways, that's enough preamble. Fire Punch. Last volume, a lot happened. There was the whole fight. They took the fight to Behemdorg in order to potentially kill Doma. Didn't happen. Doma died alone somewhere. We didn't get to see it at all. It was just, he was an old man and then he died. So Agni didn't get revenge. Also, we kind of reversed the whole reveal from Volume 2 of there was no Ice Witch. It was all just Nuclear Winter, because at the end of Volume 3, we saw the Ice Witch, and the Ice Witch called Agni her son, so, yeah. Also, Judah's dead. Yeah, Judah's dead. Sun is, I think, Sun is with Togata being released? No. Yeah, Nemoto is taking Sun out. Sun isn't with Agni's camp yet, I believe. We'll see. So, let's jump right into it. Usually I don't really look at recap pages, but it is nice because it's been a little while. Even if I just read Volume 3, I still don't have a full grasp of everything the same way I would if I had been, properly reading it on a normal schedule. We're not even halfway through the series yet. I believe Fire Punch is 9 volumes. It might be 8. But if so, we've already taken down the big city that I assumed was going to be final boss territory. So what are we doing from here? There is this ongoing narrative of Agni being treated as a god, and I could see that going wrong at some points, but, Those born with the ability to perform miracles are called the Blessed. It's because of a Blessed called the Ice Witch that the world is now enveloped in snow, starvation, and madness. I love that we keep on bringing that up, because it keeps on being recontextualized. The last time we heard it in, I want to say Volume 2, it had the connotation of, oh, well, the Ice Witch doesn't exist, so this is all a lie. But now we've seen either the Ice Witch or someone claiming to be the Ice Witch. The character page here did point out that she's claiming to be the Ice Witch. We don't know that for sure. The freezing masses yearn for fire. The freezing masses? The freezing masses? Oh boy, are the caravans being hijacked? Oh, okay, I see. Tagada's so every time we've seen it before, it has been closer to narration or just, an expression of someone's thoughts. But this is legitimately Tagada trying to put together a tagline for this movie. Don't kill the firewood in the back, only target the drivers. I mean, how are they getting out of this? Agni's pretty powerful, but again, he is a person who is always on fire. He doesn't really have range at all. Sun might have range, but we haven't really seen him do anything offensive. Or, he's never done anything in a fighting capability, I should say. I mean, from her motivation, I can't dismiss this. This is pretty cool. If you're going to be attacked and you're making a film, you may as well, document the attack. Oh, do they have a sniper? Okay. Boss is sort of just, hitting ball bearings at them. I don't think we ever confirmed whether Boss was a Blessed or not. Or if this is just, really good aim. Because, realistically, these aren't necessarily kill shots. They might just be, hitting them on the head hard enough to make them fall off their bikes. The fact that he's not really concerned by the gunfire, though, is a bit worrying. Or not worrying. It's good for us. It's good for our main characters. But it doesn't seem like this is quite going to work out. Because, realistically, there's no real problem with the series if they get caught here. Like, things can still continue, so it can go either way. I don't feel a sense of safety at all. Oh, dude, okay. That's pretty cool. I do appreciate that Tagada isn't like she's not a fighter per se, but she does have fighting moves. Like, she is extremely competent. What's happening? Hmm? Do you know our Lord and Savior Agni? And we're using the font that usually implies that they're speaking in English or, not Japanese. So, okay. Is this just another group of people who worship Agni then? Just now, I saw a half-naked flying lady. I mean, at the very least, like, the word Agni is the same because it's a name, so... Who's this bitch? Do you speak English? Are you a bitch? Okay. I'm so curious as to the makeup of this world. Like, is it our world essentially, or is it something else? Because clearly, like, there are multiple languages. English is outright mentioned as a language that exists, implying that what they're speaking is probably Japanese. I guess it doesn't. Like, it could be any language. All of this really implies is that she speaks English. It doesn't even imply it, it confirms it. But, like, how did the message of Agni spread that far? Like, they don't really have communications technology, so it would have had to have been a person. But it would have had to have been a person that's... I mean, I guess Agni's been doing stuff for a long time. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that happened very recently. Like, people... It's not that they worship... I mean, I guess they kind of did early on. So it might even be that. Like, he had a legend from very, very early on. 160 members of my family are stationed a ways away from here. Okay. God, Tagada. She went from literally mid-conversation from what religion to all right, we've got a name for the religion too. What is that ability though? It looks like she just it didn't come out of her eye patch or anything, but it looks like she just manifested a horn sort of. Or did she? Like, she clearly broke the glass, but the horn isn't like it's not coming from behind her hair. It looks like it's almost coming out of her hair. Like, there's no distortion here. Like, huh. Because before I would have just assumed that her ability was telekinesis. But this implies that it's something else relating specifically to sharp objects. Is it though? Like, this is the thing that confuses me the most. What is this? Because also, she called in the spear from somewhere else, so... Like, last volume had a bunch of Blessed versus Blessed fights with Agni and the various, I guess, hitmen that were called in after him, so... Like, going from that to this, where it's mostly just normal people with guns fighting Blessed, is pretty interesting. Because, like, Blessed aren't... They're superhuman, technically, but it's more like they have one specific ability that is, like, extremely powerful. Apart from that, they are, for all intents and purposes, normal human beings. So it's not like this is a completely one-sided thing. Like, if they get shot, it's gonna hurt. It's very hard to shoot them. It's a combination of having a powerful skill and also just being very well trained. I mean, that is pretty terrifying. And the Firewood they don't have any weapons or anything, so they can't do very much apart from just look on. It's too loud. We can't hear a word you're saying. Speak louder. I can't hear you. That's a good subversion. Like, I wasn't going to bring it up at all. I didn't even consider it, but yeah, it would be extremely hard to hear anything up there. Also, it's hand-to-hand combat. Like, I don't know. Even then, I feel like the spear should be really powerful here. The only danger would be, like, we don't know if she can make multiple spears or if that's, like, the only one she has. If there's a real danger of something bad happening if it gets broken, then maybe she's a bit more gimped. Oh god, he got it! He grabbed the spear! Okay, well then. I mean, to be fair, it is the blunt end, so it's not necessarily that she's dead, but they're also on a moving vehicle. Like, if she got knocked off, it's not good. And that looks like a being knocked unconscious panel. It might not be, though. No. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea. God damn. I mean, she'll be fine, but still. Oh, the sequence is so good. This is one of the few things I really miss in Chainsaw Man. Like, Chainsaw Man has done a couple of panels that have been, repeated panels in order to show movements within them. But because Fire Punch has such longer chapters, they can do things like this a lot more often. It's an aesthetic I really like, and it's something that works really well with Fujimoto's art style. Oh my god, it's still going! It's still going! I've avenged you, my friends! Oh my god, this might be one of my favorite sequences in a while. Yeah, I forgot that Chainsaw Man did things like this. Like, the comedic timing of it is so good, too. God damn. I mean, it's very easy to look at this and say, like, oh, I mean, Takada's not that good, it's just that she's immortal. But that's not necessarily the case. Like, the fact that she is so smooth about all of this, that she can stay calm under pressure, it is, like, she is very skilled. It's just her skills are unlike what you usually think of when you think of skilled fighter, because in our world, a skilled fighter can't be getting shot repeatedly. I mean, he's even more naked than the lady, and he's got this weird helmet that actually reminds me a little of Chainsaw Man. Okay. I mean, he does look attractive, but the helmet, what does this imply? Also, to be fair, we don't know whose side he's on. My immediate assumption would be, like, he's evening up this fight, it's gonna be 2-on-2, but... Oh, no, never mind, never mind. God damn! Holy shit. Like, based on the fact that it's black, it makes me think that maybe he made it out of his blood? But to be fair, he was also... Was he hit by the car, or did he just leap over it? He just leapt over it, I think. Yeah. So it's not that he's super durable or anything. He just might have that ability. I mean, that plus... God, this man moves so weirdly. Like, it's not even that the art style is making him feel weird. Like, the way he leaps, he always seems to move, like, chest first. Or, not even. Because, like, what is this? Like, this shot is something where it's like, yeah, it's chest first, but his movements are so not even acrobatic. Like, he doesn't feel flexible. Like, this shot's pretty flexible, but most of his other moves are very... I don't know how to describe it. He's not like an acrobat, but... He's almost like a JoJo's character. Like, if a JoJo's character moved from pose to pose, as opposed to, you know, doing crazy poses and then having normal movement in between. It feels like every movement he does is to get him into another pose. And the bullets didn't affect his helmet at all. Like, even if you are wearing, like, good headgear, a bullet that hits you in the head, like, in a helmet, is still going to, like, rock your brains around. Like, it's a powerful amount of force. But it didn't seem to do anything to him. God damn, his fighting style is so cool! Yep, there's nobody chasing us now. Seriously, like, he is putting together a pretty amazing squad. Because of that, one of my long-term predictions, not like in this volume, but maybe near the end of the series, is definitely going to be that Agni will have to fight his forces. He'll have to fight all these guys at some points. It feels like it would fit the series really well. Anyways, going back to the Ice Witch. The big question is just, is this really the Ice Witch? If so, why? Like, why now? Why here? I mean, that sure is ice. I mean, she's definitely an ice blessed. So, you're the one who froze the worlds. I mean, based on, like, it could be a serious answer, but I feel like it's going to be something super flippant. Like, why not? Or, I wanted it to be cold. I can make it cold, so I did. Like when you see snow and you want to make a snowball for no reason. Kinda like that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty triggering. To know that everything bad that has ever happened in your life, this entire hellish world that has been created, exists entirely because someone was like, why not? Alright, please do. I mean, again, it would be extremely subversive to have the Ice Witch die here, assuming she is the Ice Witch. So I highly doubt it. At the same time, it could just be a heavy flex of, hey, I'm incredibly powerful, you can't do anything to me. Alright, I'm just gonna leave. But, like, she knows who he is. She knows him by name, which is, again, not that big of a deal because of his legend that's been building up. And to be fair, I guess she also has a legend in its own way. Like, not everyone knows, everyone knows of the Ice Witch. They know the story. They know that, oh, this is all happening because of the Ice Witch. It could be a similar situation of, it wasn't really her, or she was involved with it, but it wasn't solely on her, and then she decided to just run with it. Perhaps. Now the debt's been repaid. The debt's been repaid. So either she's saying it ironically, like, you did something awful to me, so I'll do something awful to you, or it's an actual debt of she needed to stop Agni for some reason. But then also she called Agni her child. Ah, we solved so many mysteries last volume. It felt so weird, but they've all opened up right again. Right again. Like, presumably the series will involve, like, Agni punching the Ice Witch and killing her at some point, but how? Like, how would that literally be possible? Because the Ice Witch is pretty absurdly powerful. Like, she can just manifest ice. Whereas Agni is just a boy who can regenerate and punch things. Like, I guess it could just be this, like, big ongoing thing with a bunch of people. Like, it could be a big boss fight with a bunch of other Blessed. And then at the very end, she's so exhausted that she can't stop Agni from punching her. Or she can only, like, put up walls and he has to power through them. This is pretty rough because they know he's out there. They know that he could find them. It's just they have to hope that he will be there. There he is. There he is. It's the money shot. He's showing back up. Aww. Did they have the camera out, though? I don't think they did. Never mind. Or is it on a tripod? I'm not seeing it anywhere. How many people died today because of me? And she's really not pulling any punches. Yep, 10,000. That said, I mean, it's really not cut and dry. Like, what they're doing is, it's good for some people, but I can't say it's like, it is the ultimate just thing to do. Or, I can't say it balances out in terms of number of people saved and the number of lives that have been made better. It really is the path where, like, they have to commit to it. If they're going to try and make it a good thing that is being done, then they have to really commit to it. And that's not necessarily the case. Like, Tagata wants a good movie, but she doesn't necessarily want good things to happen all the time. But she's not wrong, too. There's a lot of believers waiting for you now. They're not even sleeping. You save them. You have responsibility to them. You're their god. You gotta go up there. You gotta talk to them. God, the aesthetic of Fire Punch is so good. Like, one of the things that I feel kind of about with Chainsaw Man is the lack of backgrounds. Not because I desperately need them. Like, I read Bleach. I don't really need backgrounds. But, like, the backgrounds in Fire Punch give off this great feeling of desolation everywhere. And, like, you're always seeing snow. You're always seeing the fallen worlds. I guess in Chainsaw Man, like, Chainsaw Man it doesn't have that aesthetic. And I'm trying not to spoil anything, but, like, it is more normal of a world. So I guess it's not that important. But I do wish at the very least we had more backgrounds. Oh, is it Sun? Is it Sun? No, it's Boss. My son died of illness, but he spoke your name to the very end. You saved my son from Behemdork. You saved him my place a month ago. Thanks to you, my son was able to die in peace. Oh, he's so moved. Like, I'm so used to seeing him as a badass, so to see him, like, to see his eyes and to see him crying, like, god damn. There we are, that son. Yeah. Like, it I wouldn't even necessarily say that it's deceptive in the way that, like, what they're like, sure, they are worshiping him. They do want things that he can't necessarily, like, commit to. But at the same time, like, he is a savior figure. I don't think it's correct to call him a god, but it's completely correct to call him a savior figure. And if calling him a god is what pulls him through this crazy frozen world, then sure, why not? It was your idea to save the slaves, so starting today, your new role is god. I mean, that's it. Like, even if he doesn't save anyone else, at the very least, he has to protect these people. He can't let them be taken again. I'm sure there's also something interesting you could say about the fact that they were all firewood, and now, like, he's the immortal firewood. He's always burning. Like, he's taken on, not their sins, but I guess their responsibility in a way. Like, they don't have to burn anymore, metaphorically or literally, because he burns all the time for them. I wonder what level. I mean, I assume it's not like when he said prosthetics, my immediate assumption was, oh, like plastic or like modern day prosthetics, but they're probably going to be like wooden legs. They don't have much else. I mean, it's doubtful they even have wood actually. Yeah, like that's pretty rough, but at the same time, like it's no one's fault. At the very least, they're happy about this. Like they're fine with dying because at the very least they're free. They wanted to be free, now they are. And as cruel as it is, like the lower the population gets, the more they can stretch with whatever food they have. Though this still is unsustainable. Like either they have to eat them the same way that Agni was feeding his village, which I guess he can't do that anymore now that I think about it. Like because he's always on fire, he literally cannot like keep cutting his hand because it's going to just come back on fire. So logistics, how do we do this? Either they have to like pick off some caravans, get some like steal some supplies. They have to find somewhere that has food, which I mean, how do you even grow food in this world? Or I mean, they can eat humans, but even then, like that's not renewable. They can only do it for a bit. Oh yeah, I forgot. Like when she said 160 family members, I took that as like, oh hey, we've got reinforcements, 160 people worth of reinforcements. But realistically, if they have to be fed, that's oof. Also, I completely forgot that the slaves and the firewood were separate. So presumably the slaves are doing a bit better. Like it's the firewood that's dying off the most. They're waiting for you to come up with a miracle to help feed them. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, I mean, he has performed quite a few miracles. That's a cool way of putting it too. Like the reason why they haven't devolved into madness and rioting and backstabbing is specifically because like they're not doing this with the assumption of, oh, we're waiting until we can steal food. They're waiting for a actual miracle. They just want to put up with it until something permanent comes out. But how do you do that? I mean, Agni, you signed up for it. You didn't fully understand what you were doing, but you signed up for this. I do appreciate, by the way, that we have this deep focus on like not just hey, you freed the slaves, but now that you freed the slaves, how do you manage this? What are the logistics involved? That's the kind of thing I absolutely adore. I met the Ice Witch, which of course Tagada is going to deny because, as far as she knows, there was no Ice Witch. It's nuclear winter. I don't know what's going to serve as my fuel to keep living. What I do know is I don't want to lose the one who made this world how it is, the Ice Witch. Which I assume Tagada's going to get behind. Like, even if she doesn't believe in one, at the same time, like, it's another plot. Like, the Doma plot fell flat on its face, so she's got to have something else. To make up for all the ones you've killed, you should have some fire sex stuff the number of children. Not that's possible with your burning splooge. I mean, it's easy enough to say that. The big question really is how, though? How? Humans worry, you're a god. We have to do something about this food problem. Okay. That is true. That is the one part of him that isn't burning. So presumably that should be okay. Though, I mean, if we're going to do this plan, honestly, it makes more sense to just chop up Tagada. Like, I guess her healing isn't as good as Agni's. So it wouldn't work the same way. Like, with Agni, he was able to regrow an entire arm in like a few seconds. Okay. That's interesting as well. Like, when I first read that, I assumed it was like, maybe you can like turn off his regeneration, then he'll just die. Like, that's setting him free. But I think what it's implying is the opposite. Like, maybe you could activate it even further. Like, you could cause him to regenerate faster than the fire can burn him. The flames don't extinguish until the credits are ready to roll. But alright. I mean, what are they going to make with this? I assume soup. Like, if you have worrying food, if you have some food you don't want people to understand, you gotta make soup. Also, how is he doing that? Like, is it blood or is it like something else? Because it seems like it's just hard metal. Maybe it's like it's supposed to be the iron in his blood, he can regenerate it. I love this man so much. His helm reminds me a lot of if you've ever played Slay the Spire, he reminds me a lot of the Ironclad. Just, naked. God damn, I mean, what do you make with this? Because also, they have to use as much of that meat as possible. They don't have the luxury of just taking out the brains and maybe some cheek flesh. Like, they've got to use all of it. But then, how do you make something with this where you don't notice all the ears? I can't watch you being put through pain like that. Okay, so Tagada did bring it up, and presumably, like, even if her healing isn't as quick as Agni's, it's still quick enough that, like, it is viable. Even if she has to wait a little bit, like, she's still getting more meat per cut. Yeah, I mean, you only have two options. Die like a dog or eat the meat. And that's the thing, like, even if she doesn't know if he's a god or not, like, at the same time, if she's willing to buy into it, just for the sake of all the other people. Like, at the very least, he has meat. There is food. It's possible. They can survive. Mr. Hackney's eyes are good for your eyes. Is that true? I feel like that's not correct. Okay. That's interesting. Like, it looks like it's a metal pole. Like, those look not like modern prosthetics, but like, older prosthetics, like 1900s prosthetics. Like, not bad at all. It looks fine. Maybe it could be repurposed from like a table or something, now that I think about it. That's also so like when Sun was saying it, it felt fun. It felt like something a kid would be saying. But now that we're getting it from this guy, it feels so much more like a cult. Yeah, it is. It's scary. It's a little scary. God. It's so disturbing because it's all one side of his head too. Like if it was just heads, it would still be disturbing, but there's something especially disturbing about this. They barely know anything about him, yet they share these really detailed stories about him amongst themselves. That's true. Like even if the teaching isn't real, like there are a lot of religions that have a practical purpose for certain restrictions. It's so weird hearing this being espoused by, I mean, I wouldn't say Tagada's a good guy, but she is a protagonist. Like she is on the side of the protagonists, and she's also on the side of humanity to an extent. So but it feels so weird to hear this, which usually comes from villains, usually from villains misusing religion. It feels so weird to have it coming from a hero. I mean, I guess a protagonist. I mean protagonists. I definitely would not call Tsukada a hero. The only reason why right now everyone can eat this meat that's so obviously human face is because they're telling themselves it's part of God's teachings. And honestly, the fact that it is so uniform might be part of it. Like the fact that there is always one eyeball and it always looks the same, that might actually help a bit, as opposed to like if it was just entire bodies, you'd probably think like, oh, is someone going out and killing human beings? Like, are these like people who have died? Are these the bodies of the firewood? The fact that it's just faces is actually kind of good in a weird way. Okay, please, please, please. I hope this is a good question. And I hope it's also a good question that isn't deflected. I mean, I guess it's not a very satisfying answer, but it's not a bad answer either. This might be a stupid question, but where do people go when they die? Okay, a movie theater. That's very Tagada. It's a building where everybody watches movies together. The moment you die, you find yourself standing in a movie theater. You're holding caramel popcorn and a soda in your hands. Then you go to find your seats. The moment you find it and sit down, the lights dim. Then a bunch of movie trailers run. And then they show the super interesting movie that plays on forever into eternity. I mean, again, Agni is a child. Like, when he was first set on fire, he was a child. When he grew up into, I guess, a man, he spent most of the time just being on fire. So, like, his looks are extremely deceiving. Plus, to be fair, like, if you believe in an afterlife at all, then that doesn't necessarily mean you understand, like, the normal idea of what an afterlife is. Like, it's all equally, like, not difficult to believe, but, like, it's all equally valid, I suppose. There's nothing that would make you go, like, oh, that sounds especially incorrect. Like, especially if you want to maintain a narrative, it makes so much sense to stay away as much as possible. Like, just enough for people to understand that, yeah, there is something really there, but like what separates a cult from like a religion in my mind is generally the fact that the leader is more tangible. And I know that there are a lot of cults that where the leader is not tangible, where the leader does stay away a lot of the time. But I guess just because people talk about the leader as if they are a person, like a person who also has godlike powers, that to me has always felt very fakey because you're always cementing them as a person. Whereas with Agni, like they haven't even said like he's a blessed who's also a god. They've just been calling him a god over and over again. Knock it, please? Oh no, please don't start a new like religious thing. I feel like it would be good to be merciful here. Like, restrict them, have them be less than the firewood, maybe make them serve other people food and stuff, but like don't kill them. Hmm. Though that said, like a lot of people here would have deep, deep mistrust of the soldiers of Hemdorg, so it might be good to kill them. If I were in Agni's place, I wouldn't let them die. especially if he wants to build up like a greater force in the future. It makes sense to have a little mystery here to make them do something that doesn't feel quite correct, but then in hindsight they understand that it made sense. Okay, so they're going for the like the turn the other cheek dynamic of, well, we're gonna forgive them because we're not them, we're better than them. Agniism's ultimate goal is to overcome this cruel, unforgiving world. All right. And that is true. Like, even if you hate Behemdorg, I mean, you got your revenge already, so why continue it? I think there's also like a psychological aspect to this of like because you're being made to do something that you don't want to do. In hindsight, you can like pat yourself on the back because of it. Like in the same way that like giving up food for Lent, for instance, makes you feel good because like you didn't have to. There's nothing telling you you need to. I mean, apart from the religion, but it gives you this warm and fuzzy feeling of, oh yeah, I made that sacrifice and it all worked out. It was a show of my devotion. Like, I think that works in its own way. Our orders were to release a hero Behemdorg into the wild, but he's idle now. Okay. Doma. Is he still alive? I mean, the series has twisted and turned so many times, but the last time we saw Doma, he was senile. So how is this going to go down? Like, I can't imagine that he would have recovered enough to be a threat at all. But he's still out there, and I can still understand why Agni would want to have revenge. Okay. I'm blessed with being able to look into people's hearts. That's not what I expected at all. It does explain how he was able to block those bullets though. Like it didn't seem like he was using a blessed ability when he was fighting. Like I can see how you could use that as like a level of precognition, like being able to see where someone's shooting and then blocking accordingly. I have read this person's heart and she is not to be trusted. Okay. Please don't trust her. She only sees you as a source of entertainment. Everything she says is a lie. She pretends to be a flippant woman, and nothing he's saying is wrong. None of that is incorrect. But she's actually a man in a woman's body. Okay. I mean, even that, like, she does look kind of androgynous, so I can see that. Hmm. Though I guess it depends on like how he's saying it. Is he saying it in the sense that like she has the mentality of a man, or is it literally she's a man? Also, who is this? Like blonde hair. It makes me think of either Luna or Judah. But Judah's definitely dead. Luna, mm, I mean, I could see them bringing back Luna, but like to do it without it being like a sudden reveal to Agni might be a bit weird. Wait, what? Okay. Wait a minute. Did she just shoot fire? Or I guess depending on how her ability works, it might be that she's like, uh, oh yeah, she said the wood's wet, so it's not burning well. So it might be that she's like pulling the like the water out of the wood. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is meant to be Judah. Okay, so the ice witch is just a myth. She can't actually exist. But if I had said that, Agni would. Ah, okay. My name is Silya. Okay. Where is this going though? Like clearly Silya has something she wants to do. What in the world is that? What are you planning to do? Carry out the principles of this world. What does that mean? Like, the fact that she has these, like, vines almost coming out of her makes me feel like, But she also created ice. We saw that for sure. So does she have, like, a blessed ability that's incredibly vague? Like, something that can do a lot of things? Or, I mean, this might not be a blessed ability at all. It might be just something else entirely. Both destruction and rebirth. I mean, we know that Tagada doesn't really give a shit about the world. She just wants to film her movie. So, By the way, this is a cool spread. Like, I'm a big fan of any spread that is like two separate pages, where it's not a two-page spread, but it's two pages that work perfectly together. Where like they just wouldn't have as much impact if you saw them separately. The world itself is already rotting away. I just want to finish it off. Government, paintings, plants, flesh, souls, the things of this world. Is she actually leaving? Cannot be reborn unless they're first destroyed. My goal is to end this world and make its successor warmer. Okay. So I assume part of that is like she wants to stoke the metaphorical fires of Agni's religion, which is why she, set herself up as the Ice Witch. But then, what else does she want to do? And especially, why is Judah important? Like we saw before, that Judah isn't really someone who can speak to a god. To be fair, like Suya might not know that. She might just know that she can speak to God. Okay, I'll just give it to you straight. Please do. What is this plan? I'm going to have you suck the life out of every living thing and become a giant tree to warm the earth for me. Is that a possibility? I mean, it does explain all the vines now. But how? How is this happening? A tree, like the plant, where firewood comes from. I mean, it sure is a plan, but first of all, how? Second of all, is this... If you know how the mechanisms of the blessed work and apply them right, it's a cinch. Okay. I mean, we've never really delved into how the blessed came to be. Another word for a gun is a blessing that can kill people when you pull the trigger. A toaster oven is a blessing that will toast bread when you press a button. Blessed are invisible guns and toaster ovens created by the old world and drifting through the air. I mean, first of all, she clearly knows about the old worlds. And Tagada especially, she set up the idea of the old world as being separate from, the world that was freezing over. The people of the old generation were evolved. That's why they were able to use all forms of blessings. Blessings are like a group thing. Like anyone could use, theoretically, any of them, at least from the old generation. It's just the current generation can't do that. Which means potentially, like maybe you could evolve? Maybe you could gain multiple blessings? Oh, your white hair, blue eyes, and even your voice are like mine. Okay. That also explains why Luna and Judah look so alike. Like, it's not even necessarily that they had similar parents, it's that Luna was just another evolved person. So the big question, I suppose, is just, how does one become an evolved person? Okay, well, I am extremely invested in that plotline now. Especially because, like, there's nothing wrong about that plan as far as I can tell. Like, as long as you can become a giant tree, then I guess the plan of become a giant tree and then become firewood is a possibility. I'm surprised Takata's leaving, like, even after being called out. Like, I really did think that even after being called out, it would just be more of a, well, can I trust her? But she'd still be around. Why is she just outright leaving? Yeah, like, she really is the cornerstone of the religion, not Agni. Like, she's the one who manages to make everything work. Also, this is such a weird cut, like, that we got a tiny bit of this, like, in this entire chapter. The people of the old world abandoned their dying planet during the Ice Age and went to other planets. Everyone on those planets is exactly the same, live in constant bliss. Okay. So first of all, is this true? Second of all, how would she know this? Those people are dead now, and all these beautiful stars are light from their dying creatures. Like, again, that feels very metaphorical. It sounds like a story as opposed to something that really happened, but if it's true, like, I love that we've had so many different interpretations of how the world came to be, and none of them feel, like, completely wrong. Any of them could be correct. Alright, give me the plan. First, we're going to steal all the life from every living thing on Earth and fuel you with it. Alright. That still won't be enough to warm up this ice age. Next, you'll establish roots with other planets. You'll steal all of their life forces, and then the world should finally start to warm. Okay. I mean, that's a pretty expansive plan. It also implies that she's going to have to become a tree and then stretch her roots across the cosmos, which I'm not sure how viable that is. That does not feel correct. This plan feels a little shaky now. Okay, so that's why she's already mutating. Like, she had the plan originally, then she thought, like, well, maybe you can get someone else to do it. It's a fuel that will keep me going for the rest of my life. And that's because Wait, what? I feel like I've seen a meme about this. Like, I don't think it was Fire. Like, I don't remember it being specifically Fire Punch, but I remember there being a manga that involved the last Star Wars film being a very important plot point. Was it Fire Punch? Is that it? In the old world, it was prohibited to read novels or watch movies, let alone make them. But in the next culture, I don't care if it takes tens of thousands of years, I'm going to raise that culture to the exact same level as the era when they made Star Wars so I can watch the next movie in the franchise. Oh boy. First of all, relevant. Episode 9 is not out yet, but I guess it depends on which trilogy she's talking about. Like, did all this happen in the 60s? Or not the 60s, the 80s? Like, did she never see Return of the Jedi? Or is she talking about the prequel trilogy? Or is she talking about the current one? What an extremely Fujimoto ending to the volume. What in the world? So that was Fire Punch. Good volume, as always. Fire Punch is so unique. I don't know how specifically I can describe it. It is just unique. Like, I'm glad we focused a little on civilization building this volume as opposed to just finding another target to fight. But, like, Judah, still a thing. Sulia, now a thing. Doma, still potentially a problem? Maybe? Tagada's gone, which is worrying because Tagada was really the driving force of the entire series. Like, Agni was the guy who is on fire and punches things. Tagada was the one creating the plot, so I doubt she's going to stop being a force in the series, but what is she going to do now? Like, hopefully, like, now that we have Boss and, like, now that Boss is in the know, maybe he can take over for Tagada. Maybe Agni can, like, put together a tiny little council and find a way to continue keeping his small settlement alive. Apart from that, I don't really know what else they have to do. Like, the next conflict really has to be external. Maybe another giant city that, like, hears about the destruction of Behemdorg and wants to take out Agni before Agniism spreads even further. Overall, though, really fun volume. I think I've said all I need to say about it. It's been fun getting back into Fire Punch. Let's do more soon. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now. Nya nya.